Test, 1, 2, test.
Should you have it on now? Yeah. Yes.
Test. Guys, we'll be ready to go live in 20 seconds.
Hang on.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Welcome to everyone as we join with Charlie and Natalie and their family as each of them become bar and bat mitzvah on this day. We are so very blessed that so many of you are here with us, live family, extended family, loved ones, as well as those of you who are joining us virtually on YouTube. You are part of our virtual kehillah, our community. We welcome you as well on this very special day. We know that both Charlie and Natalie have come to this moment. But the moment is a milestone, and it marks a precious time. It marks their experience and their link, as I like to say, in this unbroken chain of our Jewish tradition. Tradition that has been challenged time and again, that has been torn, that has been ripped, and yet the threads are still there to maintain it in so many ways. And in fact, every time we get knocked down, we seem to rise up even stronger. And so each of you, Charlie and Natalie, come to this day in awe and blessing, that you have the blessing of being surrounded by so many people who love you as they do, and also the fact that you stand tall as a young man and young woman in our Jewish tradition, taking on this mantle of leadership and responsibility. We know this is just the beginning of your Jewish journeys. You've worked hard to get to this moment, but what happens after is what the essence of becoming is about. And how you're going to do that and how you're going to model that, we will see. And we will have the blessing to see how you craft your own identities as you go from this moment. If you're new to our synagogue, our community, or you're joining us once again, we welcome all of you. And we invite you to participate as much as you possibly can, with the hope that those that are holding prayer books can lift the words off the pages and live them through our voices and through our hearts. And those that are joining us virtually, you will have the benefit of also joining us in prayer and in song, as the words throughout our service, our liturgy, will be on your screens. And throughout the service, feel free to write a note on the chat to Charlie and Natalie expressing your mazel tov, so that we also have a virtual guest book, and to know your presence is with us here as well. And we invite you in this moment, Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad, how wonderful it is as we dwell together as brothers and sisters. We do join together. Page 70 in your prayer books.
Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, 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 shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov, hine matov, yalalai, yalalalalai. Hine matov, hine matov, yalalai, yalalalalai. Hine matov umanayim, yalalai, lai, lai, yalalalalai. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hine matov umanayim, shevet achim gam yachad.
As our young people become adults in our community, there are certain things that become required of them. They are allowed to lead us in prayer. They are allowed to read from the Torah. And one thing important is that they receive a prayer shawl, a talit, like the one I'm wearing, like the one many of you are wearing here and our rabbis. These prayer shawls are all different in color and size, some different shapes, but what is important about them are the fringes, the tzitzit, especially these 4 that have knots and wrappings around them. And all of those add up to 613, which remind us of the commandments in the Torah that we try and do every day, at least some of them. Our children are wrapped in the love of our tradition and in the love of their family. So I would like to invite Heather and Ron to come and to give Charlie and Natalie their talitot.
Take it.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lehitatef b'tzitzit.
The name. Charlie, Natalie, we made it. We know this year has not been the easiest by any stretch of the imagination, but we're so proud of what you've had to overcome to be here today. It means so much to us that you are becoming B'nai Mitzvot. When I think back to my parents bestowing the talit to me and now us giving them to you, participating in this Jewish tradition, we're filled with such joy and pride. There were a lot of tough times along this journey, and you definitely gave us some spielches in our connect kazoink. But ultimately, you have arrived at this occasion where you accept the responsibilities of being upstanding members of the Jewish community. This is somewhat of a bittersweet moment, as we remember that not all of our loved ones could be here to celebrate this occasion with you. Grandma Rollover, who always looked forward to a celebration and often spoke of her desire to attend your B'nai Mitzvah, would have loved to have been here in the front row, cheering you on, and her absence is profoundly felt. These talit that we have given you serve as a reminder that we pass customs and rituals from generation to generation, just as they were passed down from your great-grandpa Harry to Grandpa Mel and now to you.
Natalie, when we started the process of bat mitzvah preparation, you jumped in with both feet, fearless, just like you are defending the soccer goal. You balanced all of your sports, schoolwork, family, and social life with ease. You are funny, loving, kind, and you just have an all-around great essence that everyone wants to be around. Yes, you are confident. We all see it.
I know.
We too are confident that you will take on the responsibilities of becoming a bat mitzvah and share these qualities with the Jewish community. We are so proud and we love you. Charlie. Tuna, mackerel, sardines, swordfish, halibut, mahi-mahi, jigs, rods, reels. This is just our attempt to speak a language that you will understand. We all know that fishing is your passion, and we love how you have learned and applied numerous life lessons in your pursuit of this passion. Patience, perseverance, and teamwork, to name a few. We love the dedication you have for building your own fishing rods, and now your own jigs too. You are thoughtful, sensitive, and such a good teacher. We love how you bridge the generation gap, being comfortable with young kids and older adults alike. Your sense of humor and one-liners always keep us laughing, and we look forward to seeing how you use this in your future. We are so proud of your accomplishments, and we love you.
We're still having trouble digesting how our 4-pound preemies morphed into these gigantic teenagers, seemingly overnight. But as we reflect back through the years, we can recall that there may have been a challenge or two that threatened to halt our progress. One thing that your B'nai Mitzvah Prep and this past year has taught us is that when we work together as a family, there are no obstacles that we can't overcome.
I wanted to share this parent's blessing, which is adapted from the Talmud. May you live to see your world fulfilled. May your destiny be for worlds still to come. And may you trust in generations past and yet to be. May your heart be filled with intuition and your words be filled with insight. May songs of praise ever be upon your tongue and your vision be on a straight path before you. May your eyes shine with the light of holy words and your face reflect the brightness of the heavens. May your lips ever speak wisdom and your fulfillment be in righteousness, even as you ever yearn to hear the words of the holy ancient one of old.
Sorry about that cheesy speech. I begin with a prayer of gratitude for all that is holy in my life. God needs no words, no English or Hebrew, no semantics, and no services, but I need them. Through prayer, I can sense my inner strength, my inner purpose, my inner joy, my capacity to love. As I reach upward in prayer, I sense these qualities in my Creator. To love God is to love each other. To work, to make our lives better. To love God is to love the world God created, and to work to perfect it. To love God is to love dreams of peace and joy that illuminate all of us, and to bring that vision to life.
There are days when we seek things for ourselves and measure failure by what we do not gain. On Shabbat, we seek not to acquire, but to share. There are days when we exploit nature as if it were a horn of plenty that can never be exhausted. On Shabbat, we stand in wonder before the mystery of creation. There are days when we act as if cared nothing for the rights of others. On Shabbat, we remember that justice is our duty and a better world our goal. So we embrace Shabbat, day of rest, day of wonder, day of peace.
We begin our prayers with Ashrei on page 220. Please join us.
Page 225. There are times when the love of God burns so powerfully within your heart that the words of prayer seem to rush forth, quickly and without deliberation. At such times, it is not yourself who speaks. Rather, it is through you that the words are spoken.
Please rise for the tefillah on page 226.
תורתך. Adonai, open up my lips, that my mouth may declare your praise. Yalai, lai, lai, 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 yalai, lai, lai. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avotenu v'imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor ve'Hanora, El Elyon, Gomel Chasadim Tovim, ve'Koneh Hakol, ve'Zocher Chasdei Avot v'Imahot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיה בלתי אתה, רב להושיע, משיב הרוח, ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך? מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיה הכל. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, מלוא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר, אדירנו אדוני, אדוננו אדיר, שמך בכל הארץ. ברוך כבוד אדוני ממקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו ומלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי.
Please be seated.
Please turn to page 233. And who is wise? The one who learns from everyone, and who is mighty, one who controls one's urges, and who is rich, one who is happy with what one has.
Please turn to page 235. Our ancestors brought you spices and foods to gain your favor, O God. Most precious in our day is the offering of time. Accept this gift we have set aside, the sanctity of this full day. Oh, to reveal in your presence, to celebrate the beauty of your handiwork, to rejoice in the gift of life. Baruch atah Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat.
Please turn to page 237. Adonai, our God, may we, your people, Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer. Wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom we serve in reverence.
Baruch atah Adonai, she'otcha levadcha b'yirah na'avod.
Please turn to page 239. For the gift of our souls, for the promise of our lives, for all we are and all we might yet become, for the creative seeds sown within our minds, whose nurturing can yield a grand harvest. For all these gifts, we thank you, O God, and pray that we prove ourselves worthy. May our lives be ripe with the fruit of compassion, sweetly sustaining those in need. May we use our gifts wisely and with love, true messengers of blessing to the world. Baruch atah Adonai, hatov shimcha u'cha el lahadot.
We join together in Shalom Rav, our prayer for peace, on page 240.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki ata hu melech adon v'chol hashalom. Ki ata hu melech adon v'chol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. V'tzol beinecha levarech et amcha Yisrael b'chol עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam. Tasim Leolam.
Please take a few moments for silent reflection.
In the book of Exodus, we read that God says to Moses, "Go up the mountain to me, and there I will give you the stone tablets, the Torah, and the mitzvot that I have written, that you may teach them." And the rabbis of the Talmud mean this to imply that Moses did not just receive the Ten Commandments at Sinai, but Moses received the entirety of Torah, the entirety of Jewish learning and Jewish culture. Everything from our Hebrew Bible to how Rashi interprets the first words of Torah to how we light our Shabbat candles. In Pirkei Avot, the teachings of our ancestors, we learn how that transmission happened. Moses received the Torah at Sinai and transmitted it to Joshua. Joshua then transmitted it to the elders to the prophets, and the prophets to the community. Each successive generation adding to that which has gone before. Surely Moses on Mount Sinai had no idea how to adapt, how a community gathers for a coronavirus pandemic. And as we begin our service for reading Torah, we will continue that chain of transmission as we symbolically pass the Torah through the generations into Charlie and Natalie's hands. Seder Kiryat Torah begins on page 244. I'd like to invite Jack up to open the ark, and I invite you all to please rise as you're able. Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, Ki mitzion tetzeh Torah, udevar Adonai mirushalayim, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, Baruch shenatan Torah, Torah, le'amo Yisrael, b'kedushato. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh Shemo, Gadol Adonai iti, uneromema Shemo. Tiferet ve'hanetzach ve'ahod, ki kol bashamayim uvaretz, ki kol bashamayim uvaretz, lecha Adonai hamamlacha, ve'minaseh lechol lerosh. Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu le'ahakodsho. Romemu Adonai Eloheinu ve'yishtachavu le'ahakodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romemu.
Please be seated.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Every Shabbat we we read a section of Torah, and that connects us to Jews all over the world. And every Shabbat afternoon, we actually begin reading the following week's Torah portion to get a little sneak peek of what's to come in the week ahead. Charlie and Natalie will both be reading Torah today, and each of their sections of Torah will be framed with blessing. Those blessings are known as an aliyah, an ascension, a going up. So for each of those aliyot, we call on people important to their lives. For our first aliyah, we call up Melvin Cohen and Karen and Lawrence McCracken.
יעמוד מרדכי זלמן בן הרשוולף הראשון.
Baruch Hu es Adonai Hambarach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech olam asher b'chamanu mikol ha'amim v'nosan lanu es Toraso. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Vezot Torah Zevah Hashlamim Asher Yakriv La Adonai.
Eloheinu melech olam asher notan lanu Torah emes v'chayei olam notah b'tzalkeinu. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen. Yesher koach, mazel tov. For our second aliyah, we call to the Torah Charlie's parents, Heather McCracken Cohen and Ron Cohen.
יעמדו דליה לאה בר אברהם ושרה ודוד חיים בן מרדכי זלמן וסורה פגה השני.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Im Artada Yakrivenu Vihigriv Azeva Hatade Halot Matzot Belulot Bashaman.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata betochenu. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
For our third aliyah, we call to the Torah officially as a bar mitzvah, Charlie Harrison Cohen.
יעמוד הרשל יהושע בן דוד חיים ודליה לאה בחור הבר מצווה.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorah Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
Amen.
Orkike matzot mishuhim bashaman v'solet morbehet halot belulot bashaman al halot lehem hametz yakriv korbanu al zeva Torah Shalom Av. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lani Torah emet v'ha'ei olam nata v'Eloheinu Baruch Atah Adonai notein haTorah.
We call to the Torah to be our Baalat Kriya, Natalie Cohen For our fourth Aliyah, we call to the Torah Kristen McCracken and Jim Waterhouse. And Jeff and Joe Beth Cohen, Gary and Amy Cohen, Janice Cohen, and Ken Morris.
יעמדו משה נחמיה בן מרדכי זלמן וסורה פגה ויוסף הבית בת קרן עליה ומתתיהו בן מרדכי זלמן וסורה פגה ואביב עליה ופנינה בת מרדכי זלמן וסורה פגה וקלמן לזר בן לוי הרביעי.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Ve'et ha'kerev ve'et ha'kra'im rahat b'mayim vayakter Moshe et kol ha'ayil hamisbeha olahuch l'reach nichoach ishehu l'Adonai ka'asher tzivach Adonai et Moshe.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam natan b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
For our Yasher Koach and Mazal Tov to each of you. For our fifth Aliyah, we call to the Torah. Back to the Torah. Natalie's parents, Heather McCracken Cohen and Ron Cohen.
יעמדו דליה לאה בר אברהם ושרה ודוד חיים בן מרדכי זלמן וסורה פגה החמישי.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hambarach Leolam Vaed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bachar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Vayakrev et ha'ayel hasheni el hamiluim vayismehu Aharon uvana et yedehem al rosh ha'ayil.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet v'chayei olam nata b'tocheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And now, officially as a bat mitzvah, we call to the Torah Natalie Ann Cohen.
תעמוד חנה לאה בת דוד חיים ודליה לאה בחורה הבת מצווה.
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamavorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Vaed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavorach Leolam Vaed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol hamim v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
Vayisha Vayika Moshe midamo vayitain al tanuch ozen aharon hayamanit ve'al bohen ya'ado hayamanit ve'al bohen raglo hayamanit. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam natam betohenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. And at this profound moment, we offer our blessing of thanksgiving, Shehechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu b'zman hazeh. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kimanu v'higianu b'zman hazeh.
We join together as we hold and dress our Torah and return the Torah to the Ark. I invite you to please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. יללי לי 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 יללי לי 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 יללי לי לי יללי לי
Shabbat Shalom. Our Torah portion, Parshas Tov, from the book of Leviticus, describes the specific instructions of how Moses and Aaron prepared both animal and non-animal sacrifices at the altar of the temple. Charlie's portion is more specific to offerings of unleavened bread and cakes mixed with oil, while mine has more to do with animal sacrifices. These instructions are very precise. For example, here's an excerpt from my portion. Moses prepared a burnt offering that created a pleasant aroma. Afterward, Moses brought forward the second ram. Aaron and his sons laid their hands on the ram's head, and they slaughtered it. Then Moses took some of its blood and put it on the ridge of Aaron's right ear, the thumb of his right hand, and on the big toe of his right foot. You see what I mean? Pretty specific.
Our first thoughts when we read through our Torah portions were that these verses were nothing more than instructions on how to throw a holy barbecue. Upon further reflection, though, we came to the conclusion that the central theme is really all about sacrifice. There are secondary threads dealing with discipline and following instructions as well. Since sacrifice is really the main theme, we are going to focus on that. You may be wondering, how is any of this relevant in today's world? After all, following the destruction of the first temple, animal sacrifices were no longer performed. They were subsequently replaced by prayer. So maybe we need to talk about sacrifice in a different way. Because of the deadly coronavirus, we got a crash course in sacrifice. We have sacrificed our social lives, our sports, competitions, and even had to give up in-person school for remote learning. In fact, this week marked a full year at home. We've had to find ways to motivate ourselves to stay positive, but still keep everyone safe. We've done our best to follow the CDC guidelines, such as keeping social distance, wearing masks, and washing our hands frequently. For example, because COVID has changed so much, we have had to find new ways to do things. We have a lot of gatherings outside instead of inside this year. We are having our B'nai Mitzvah outside with a small number of family versus inside with all of our family and friends. Thank goodness for technology.
Our portion presents a crucial challenge. How do you find meaning or relevant messages in obsolete ritual practices? One rabbi, Rabbi Schneerson, teaches that the sanctuary built by the people of Israel in the wilderness symbolizes the sanctuary that is inside every Jew. Just as the sanctuary has an inner and outer altar, so each Jew, Schneerson writes, possesses a surface personality and an essential core. When the Torah says, "The fire on the altar shall be kept burning, not to go out," it is referring not only to the duty of the priest to keep the altar of the sanctuary burning, but also to the way in which one practices Jewish tradition. Jews must be involved, bringing life and fire to the three aspects of Jewish existence. 1, to the learning of Torah, 2, to prayer, and 3, to the practice of charity. We agree with this because we learned that you have to be creative and invent new ways to bring relevance into these ancient ideas. This sage rabbi has tied in the ideas of fire, sacrifice, and prayer, and ultimately, how to be a good Jew. In the past year, we have sacrificed to keep those we love and the greater community healthy. In preparation for our B'nai Mitzvah, we kept the fire burning by studying Torah, learning prayer, and by performing mitzvot. We have learned that with sacrifice and discipline, we can make the necessary adjustments and continue to achieve our goals, even in these unprecedented times.
For our B'nai Mitzvah project, we fostered rescue puppies from the Helen Ward Animal Center. This involved having 2 or 3 puppies for a week at a time on multiple occasions. We were in charge of caring for these puppies while we had them. The most important thing was to keep them safe and give them lots of love. Our goal was to socialize them at a young age. Yeah, of course, they were adorable and lots of fun to play with, but boy, did they keep us awake at night. By that, I mean my dad. I slept through everything. Taking on the responsibility taught us how to care for animals and others. We also learned that when things got hard, our family was there to help out and back us up. And don't worry, we kept these adorable puppies from being sacrificed.
Lastly, we'd like to say a big thanks to our mom and dad and brother Jack for supporting us throughout this B'nai Mitzvah journey. We'd also like to thank Janet Rosenfield, our tutor, for preparing us, as hard as it was at times through FaceTime, for all of our Hebrew lessons. We'd like to thank Cantor Rabbi Bernstein, Rabbi Navarez, and Rabbi Gimbel for their helpful guidance every step of the way. Finally, thank you to our friends and family that have supported us and helped us stay positive during this crazy but well worth it journey. Thanks too for being a part of our big day. We wish you could all be here. Shabbat
Shabbat
shalom.
Mazel tov to both of you.
Thank you.
So I want to say I'm gonna look at you directly from here so I could see your faces and you can see mine. So a couple of things. I was thinking about when I was putting together my words about each of you. I was thinking about how many of B'nai Mitzvah I've officiated. And I'm coming to the ballpark of somewhere around 1,000, probably around 1,000. I'm thinking about all the multiples that I've had. I got a little more picayune when I was thinking about it. How many twins and triplets and what kind of characteristics do I experience with them? And, you know, a lot of them have similarities. Some may be identical, some fraternal. Looking at them, I can honestly say, as I've gotten to know the two of you, I have not met a pair of multiples as different and as individually unique as each of you. And I say that with love. I say that with honesty and candor and heart, because what I've come to experience is that each of you have this effectual persona, pushing back or not pushing back. It never mattered. That there was something individual about the two of you. And then what I watched was, even with that individual element, there was the I got your back. It was there. It was present. More to Natalie than Charlie. But it was there. I know I felt it. I felt it go both ways. And I was thinking about each of you in terms of what you love, and I know, Natalie, and I said this to you probably at the beginning about goalie and what it means to be a goalie. And so I looked up some quotes about the things that each of you, how I come to experience you as animated, because I believe that the goalie is the hardest position on a soccer team. And what does that have to do with becoming bar bat mitzvah? I'll get there in a moment, I promise. But I was thinking about it, and I learned this quote that there is no position in sport as noble as goaltending. And I was thinking about you and how unbelievably prepared you were to enter into this moment, in terms of your readiness, in terms of your action, in terms of what mom and dad shared about you earlier. The things that it takes to step up in our tradition are numerous. But one of the things is being aware that there may be pieces that come from all sides and that you have to be ready. And a goalie has to always be ready, has to always be on guard, yet is taking care of the team from the far end of the field. And so there you are in your amazingness, doing and tending to your brother, supporting him, tending to your family, tending to your team, and doing the work that it takes to get to this moment. A true goalie. And then I was thinking about Charlie. See that smile? That's the smile I love. And Charlie, the fisherman. And I was thinking about your passion for fishing. And you said it to me several times. It wasn't just a one-off. You said, fishing is my passion. So I learned that fishermen and coaches, I figured I connected to, fishermen and coaches have one thing in common. Both need to be very patient. So what does it mean to be out on the water or on a dock or somewhere and trying to think about what it takes to be patient to get your catch? What does it take for you? There's actually a spiritual element there, a patience that needs to be continual, that needs to be practiced and worked on. You reach this moment of becoming bar mitzvah, Charlie, because however much there may have been any stumbling blocks along the way, that you persevered. You waited, you got patient, you sat still. Those moments may have been fleeting to your parents, perhaps, but to us, we know that it takes time for everybody to come into their own. And it's patience in which we know that each of you are cultivated. And that takes time. And each of you have already demonstrated what it means to step up. You talk about Torah as this seemingly could have been an instruction guide on barbecue, right? Could have been. But there's more to sacrifice than just what it means, this directive. This directive has a lot of power and a lot of purpose in 2021. It means sometimes you have to give up something for the greater good. Sometimes you have to push yourself to a place where you don't even know you can get to, but you get to. And you both got there. And you both are just beginning the journey as well. So we, as your synagogue family, are sending our love and mazel, because boy, have you impressed us today and led us so capably and beautifully. You've inspired us, you've taught us, and you've also shown a lot of fun and humor and compassion along the way to each of you that are here, to your family members. It's a blessing that you're all here with us today, a true blessing, and the many who are joining us on virtually. This is a blessing in life. And sometimes we have these challenges and you hit them head on. Keep dreaming your dreams. Keep tending to the goal. Keep trying to find the fish. You'll catch it. You always will. Just be patient. It's coming. Can you hear us? May this be God's will as we say amen. I'm going to invite my clergy colleagues to join as we want to offer you a special blessing that has been passed throughout the generations.
Charlie and Natalie. Yivarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and protect you both.
Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka. May you receive God's light of kindness and grace.
Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God's presence always be with you, Charlie and Natalie. May you be granted health and long life, the courage to fill your life with much joy, much blessing, and much peace. As we say together, amen.
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 We begin to conclude our service by turning to page 282 to the words of Aleinu L'Shabeach. We invite you to rise as you're able. Aleinu L'Shabeach L'Adon HaKol L'Teit Gedula L'Yotzer Breshit ארצות, ולא שמענו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We take a moment to reflect on those that we've loved and lost, those who continue to live on in our hearts and in our memories. And as we prepare to say the ancient words of Kaddish Tom, the mourner's Kaddish, we'll also recall in sacred memory Grandma Barbara Cohn and Uncle Dan Morris. May their memories too be for a blessing as we join together to page 294 and we say, Yitkadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chaye echon v'yom echon, v'chaye l'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala v'yizman kariv v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'olam u'lamei almaya. Yitbarach v'yishabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal, shmei kudusha brichu, le'elam mikol birchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shemaya, v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, hu ya'aseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, v'imru amen. Zichronam levracha, may their memories ever continue to inspire and be for blessing as we say together, amen.
Amen.
Will you please be seated? And as we begin to conclude our time together this evening, we have the opportunity to engage in a sacred transition between Shabbat and the rest of the week. Why don't you guys come? When we move from Kodesh, or holy, to the everyday, we make a mavdil, we make a sacred separation, and we name that Havdalah. When we move from this time of Shabbat into the week that is to come, the wine, the sweetness stays on our lips, the besamim, the varied spices fill that mystical soul, Shabbat departs, and the Aish, the candle that we extinguish, will light and will extinguish it to note that Shabbat has finally come to a conclusion. We'll also note that every time we light that candle, we're animated in the potential to always create anew. And so we join together.
La 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 la
המבדיל בין קודש לכל, חטאותינו עם כל, שרינו וכספנו ירבה כחול, וככוכבים בלילה. שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב, שבוע טוב. A good week, a week of peace. May gladness reign and joy increase. Eliyahu Hanavi, Eliyahu Hatishbi, Eliyahu, Eliyahu, Eliyahu Hakilati.
And we say Mazel Tov.
Mazel Tov.
For those of you who are joining us virtually, we invite you again to write on the chat a wish, a hope that a family can look back on after. Wishing you all blessings and a wonderful time. You have done incredible today. We just want to say Mazel Tov to you guys. Mazel
Mazel
Tov.
tov.
Mazel Tov.
And please stay on. There will be a montage at the end of the service.